So this just in, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has hailed US President Donald Trump's peace plan. He said, and I quote, "We welcome President Trump's leadership as peace efforts in Gaza make decisive progress. Indications of the release of hostages mark a significant step forward. India will continue to strongly support all efforts towards a durable and just peace." We have CNN News 18's Aman Sharma live with us right now. Aman, could you please tell us what are the exact terms of the truce that Hamas has accepted?
Well, see, what is the big story today is that Hamas has agreed to release all the hostages, which they have been holding on to ever since this conflict began. This was a major demand of Israel, that all the hostages which had been taken by Hamas, October 7th, we know what had happened in Israel. Hamas has agreed to releasing all the hostages, and this is since 2 years, since the war began. So this is very significant. We have now the Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, also reacting to this big global development. He has said that we welcome Donald Trump's leadership as peace efforts in Gaza are now making decisive progress. Also saying that there are indications of the release of hostages. This is marking as a significant step forward towards peace. That's what Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said. He's also said that India will continue to strongly support all efforts towards a durable and a just peace between Israel and Palestine. Sukanya, this is extremely significant because all this while, both the sides were not agreeable on many terms. While Palestine was not ready to release the hostages, Israel was not ready to stop its operations against Hamas till the hostages are released. And Donald Trump, 2 days ago, when he put out the entire Gaza peace plan, he had fixed a deadline for Hamas and the Palestine to accept that plan, or he said there would be adverse consequences. I think Hamas accepting Donald Trump's Gaza peace plan is a major global development. This could finally maybe end the conflict between both these nations, both these states, which has been carrying on for the last 2 years and has, costed thousands of lives on both the sides, especially in Palestine. And India has been maintaining a very, balanced line on this, trying to, also ask for the closure of this particular conflict, asking for peace to come here, but also backing Israel on many occasions for their actions against a terrorist organization like the Hamas.
Aman, I'm so sorry. I'll come back to you. We have Zaka on the phone right now with us. So what does India's welcome of the truce signal about its broader position on the Israel-Gaza conflict, Zaka?
No, I think the immediate context is, of course, the peace deal that President Trump unveiled with Prime Minister Netanyahu earlier this week in the White House. And now Hamas, which had about 3 or 4 days to respond to it, has welcomed the peace deal and said that the first precondition to meeting the peace deal is releasing the hostages. So that has been agreed to by Hamas. That's a big first step to be taken, and President Trump has also welcomed it, and the Prime Minister has just tweeted welcoming President Trump's efforts in trying to forge a peace between Israel and Hamas. And I think India has skin in this game because India does not want a war. This is a region which has a large number of Indian diaspora. There are a few thousand people who live and work in Israel. India, in fact, has had long-standing ties with Palestine. In fact, India was one of the first countries to recognize an independent state of Palestine way back in 1988. And both these wars, whether it's the Russia-Ukraine war or whether it is now the Israel-Hamas war, India's position has always been consistent that this is not an era of war, that this is an era of peace. And whoever takes whatever step in the direction of peace, India will be a party that will welcome that. Now, I just want to underline why this was such a difficult negotiation and why the announcement earlier today, about 4 or 5 hours earlier today, by Hamas to agree to the first step, which is to release the hostages, is such a huge deal because in Hamas's calculation, releasing the remaining hostages, and Israel estimates there are about 20 of them who are alive, possibly, and there are about another 20 odd who are unaccounted for. So in all, about 50 or so hostages are still there, either dead or alive in Hamas custody. The reason why Hamas was unwilling to release them was because they felt this was the last leverage that they had, that if they release the remaining hostages, particularly the ones who are alive, then it does not stop Israel in any way in going in and completely flattening to the ground whatever is left of Gaza. So that was the reason why they were not willing to release the remaining hostages. Now that first step has been crossed. It's a huge deal in Israel. I was in Israel a couple of months ago, and the overwhelming sense that I got was everyone in civil society, the hostages' families, the opposition, even members of Mr. Netanyahu's own government were upset about the fact that the hostages had not been released, and they wanted to bring back the hostages as soon as possible and put an end to this war. And I think we're beginning on that road to peace, on that path to peace, thanks to this Trump peace plan, which was hammered out with Netanyahu earlier this week in the White House. I also want to go across to Aman Sharma, our political editor. Siddhant, who tracks the MEA for us, is also on the line. Aman, so the Prime Minister now tweeting and welcoming President Trump's peace plan and the fact that Hamas has agreed to the first step. How does India view this peace plan, and how does India view the future trajectory of moving towards peace in this conflict that's been going on almost now for 2 years?
Well, yes, Zaka, as we all know that India has been maintaining a very balanced line when it comes to the Israel-Palestine conflict. Mr. Narendra Modi has always been pressing that these hostilities should end. Loss of life of children in Palestine. The India has also expressed its concern over the same in the past. But right now, the Donald Trump taking the lead in this, coming up with this new Gaza peace plan and fixing a deadline, I think, for Hamas to accept it seems to have done the trick as the global diplomacy would go, because Hamas now agreeing to release all this hostages is a huge, huge thing. And no less than the Prime Minister himself, Mr. Narendra Modi, has put out a statement on social media welcoming President Trump's leadership. He's also said that these peace efforts in Gaza should now make decisive progress. He said there are indications of the release of the hostages, and Mr. Modi has described this as a very significant step forward. He's also reiterating that India will continue to strongly support all efforts towards a durable and a just peace. Mr. Modi had also been making these efforts, so I think it's a more like a collaborative thing, but Mr. Trump taking the lead, India welcoming this, because India in the past has been, also, though it has been praising Israel's action against terrorism, but at the same time, it has not been in the favor of this number of killings which are happening by the Hamas. So by the Israel in Palestine, the death of women, the death of children, as something that India has expressed concern upon. So I think Prime Minister Modi here throwing his weight behind Donald Trump's leadership, praising him for the effort he's done in this regard, and saying that India is always ready to support in any way possible towards ensuring a just and durable peace. That is what India's stand is, and I think Prime Minister putting out a statement on this, Zaka, is very, very significant.
I think two important markers will come up in the next few days. October 7th, which is the coming Tuesday, will be 2 years since this war began, since the terrorist attack by Hamas, in which over 1,200 Israelis were killed. And later this week, on the 10th of October, will be the announcement of the Nobel Peace Prize. So we'll see if this significant development, the fact that the Trump peace plan, the first step of which has now been agreed to by Hamas, and the release of the hostages, if it happens in the coming week, will that lead to any kind of significant announcement by the Peace Committee in terms of Donald Trump's own ambitions to win the Nobel Peace Prize?